All right, today we're diving into a novel that explores something pretty fascinating, the masks we all wear at work. And it asks this really unsettling question. What if those masks stop being masks and just become you? Let's get into it.
So, just imagine this for a second. You walk into the office break room to grab some coffee, you glance in the mirror, and the person looking back, you barely recognize them. It's a version of yourself that's been slowly shaped by deadlines, by office politics, by all those expectations. That is the really powerful idea at the heart of the story we're exploring today.
The book is called The Mirror in the Break Room by Ashish Chadha. And what we're going to do is break down its core psychological concept, get to know the main character, and really unpack the tough questions it raises about who we are in the corporate world.
So first things first, let's talk about the main event here. A mirror that is definitely not your average mirror.
Yeah, this thing doesn't just show your physical reflection. It doesn't care if you have something in your teeth. Instead, it shows you the person the corporate environment is molding you into. It literally reflects your professional persona, which, when you think about it, could be a truly terrifying thing to see.
So who's the poor soul staring into this bizarre mirror? Well, let's meet our protagonist, Arjun Mehta. Arjun starts out as just an HR intern. He has totally normal expectations, Learn the ropes, tackle some spreadsheets, maybe sit quietly in a few meetings. His goal is just to make a decent impression and get through his internship. He has absolutely no idea that his entire sense of self is about to be put to the test.
And this is where we get to the core conflict of the whole novel, this kind of psychological breakdown that Arjun goes through every single time he looks in that break room mirror.
This transformation, it happens in stages. Every day, a brand new face is staring back at him. It starts with the eager newcomer, trying to impress everybody. Then he becomes the invisible observer, just trying to fade into the wallpaper. Pretty soon, he morphs into a charming performer, then a ruthless strategist, and finally, just an empty, bureaucratic shell.
And we're not talking about some funhouse trick here. With every single new reflection, Arjun feels more and more disconnected from the person he was when he first walked in the door. The mirror is literally distorting his identity.
But why? Why is this happening to him? I mean, what kind of forces are so powerful that they can literally change a person's reflection?
Well, Arjun is basically fighting a war on two fronts. On the outside, he's dealing with the constant, subtle pressure from his managers and that endless hum of office gossip that decides who's in and who's out. But the internal battle, that's where the real damage is happening. He's feeling completely alone, like a total fraud, and he's just terrified of losing his true self in the middle of this whole performance.
The novel really hammers this point home with an incredible storytelling tool. The entire story is told through 17 distinct, pretty haunting reflections. That's 17 different versions of Arjun, and each one is another step away from the person he thought he was.
But he does have one thing holding him steady. In the middle of all this identity chaos, Arjun clings to his journal. It's the only place he can write down what's happening and just try, to hold on to the person he believes he still is, away from that mirror's influence. And this whole conflict between what he sees in the mirror and what he writes in his journal, it all builds to the novel's biggest question. Where does the persona end and the real person begin? And honestly, this is why the story is so compelling. It makes us ask these questions about ourselves. I mean, think about it. What roles do you play to fit in? What parts of yourself do you kind of abandon along the way? The book uses this surreal, crazy premise to explore the very real courage it takes to be authentic. In the end, it really all boils down to a choice. Arjun has to face that mirror and decide. Is he just the sum of all these different personas that people expect him to be? Or is the real Arjun still in there somewhere, just waiting to be reclaimed? It's really an act of quiet rebellion.
And the novel leaves us with this final, really powerful question. Is Arjun just another reflection, totally shaped by his environment? Or is he something more? It's a question that really extends way beyond the break room, and it kind of asks each of us to think about the same thing in our own lives.